Call me Andre, 'cause I got the 3000. Yes, November 2017 seems to be the month of milestones. 10 years, and now 3,000 subscribers. If you told me back in 2007 that I'd eventually have 3,000 people with an ongoing interest in hearing me blather about video games, I'd be gobsmacked. And, well, I'm gobsmacked now. Longtime viewers, thank you very much for sticking around. Newcomers, glad to have you aboard, and I hope you enjoy your stay. Hello again, Easketeers. Though East 3 for the Turbo CD lies behind us, we're still not quite done with Wanderers from East. The Genesis version of East 3 is largely similar, but definitely has its quirks. Today, in the first of two Omake, we'll be taking a quick look at a couple of localization errors, and then digging a little deeper into the endgame. Let's get started. First off, the Genesis version of East 3 includes a rather long text intro that doesn't really have any analog in the Turbo. It is, for the most part, perfectly cromulent. However, there's one really unfortunate typo in which a fortune teller is described as a lovely young woman with long flowing back hair. Now, I have known some hirsute individuals in my day, but flowing is on a whole different level. Alright, that silliness aside, let's take a look at some different silliness that gave birth to an annoying running joke on my part. Buy some harb. Harb. This harb is 100 gold. Yes, we carry. But in the equipment menu, it's actually correct. Go figure. And now for the endgame. This is where East 3 for the Genesis diverges most from its TurboGrafx counterpart. For starters, remember when I said the lighting swings around drunkenly? Well, it's not semi-random as I remembered, but does follow a consistent pattern. The beam sweeps left and right, while the light source moves back and forth across the top of the screen. This is even more annoying than it might seem at first. At least in the Turbo version, you could see yourself and the enemies even when the light wasn't on them. Not here. If it's not in the beam, can't see shit, Captain. On top of that, as you can see, the skeletons are quite a bit more durable, meaning you can't just go charging into the dark waving your sword around, or you're going to take a lot of damage you can't really afford. One helpful thing you can see here is that the enemies won't step onto moving platforms or stairs, so you can use those as little safety islands while you wait for the lamp to do something useful. Also, the spotlight continues to move while the menu is open, so you can just do a menu pause and wait for the beam to swing where you need it. Here's an oddity: they actually gave the skeletons in this section fewer HP, presumably to make the part where you land on the leftward corridor a little less unfair. This last skeleton is too tough to kill before he touches you, but it is just barely possible to jump over him, which I pulled off here much to my surprise. Here we are back in Garland DX's room, and look how much smoother that parallax is. On the Genesis, GDX is much easier, because if you stand close enough, the lightning can't hit you. With a little care, this can carry you through with no damage and no ring power lost. However, I'm actually gonna let him hit me a little to show you something. Yep, unlike the Turbo version, he actually gives you your health back. And now, Galbalan. Oh Lord Genesis Galbalan, he's kinda the worst.
This is the beginning of the Demonicus era. As for the start, I'll show you my power!
Oh, will he ever. This time he's a two-stage fight. First stage isn't too bad. He throws arcing projectiles from his left and right hands, while occasionally smashing down with an electric barrier. The idea here is to lop off his hands, which isn't too difficult, though I'm doing kind of terribly this time. Once both hands are gone, the Great Demonicus shit show can begin. First of all, he'll immediately slide sideways, and depending on how the RNG feels, you can take a healthy chunk of contact damage right there. Then he'll go through a few rounds of sliding sideways, dropping a couple of projectiles, then sliding sideways again. And after a few of those, he'll drop a projectile straight down, which will split to the left and right at ground level. Pretty simple, right? Well, the problem is you have to hit that little orange ball to deal damage, and this is incredibly fiddly. The easiest way to hit it is to jump a little bit off center and whack it with the backswing of your sword, but this requires super precise jump control. A little too low and you'll miss completely, a little too high or misaligned, and you'll bonk right into Galbalan, whose entire body causes substantial contact damage. This would be frustrating enough without the absolute fuck-mothering ass-ton of health he's got. By now you've probably noticed that each round of hits I land does almost nothing to his life meter. So this is not only a game of precision, it's an endurance game of precision. So on, I hear you ask. If it takes so long to whittle down that giant health pool, why not put on the power ring and make it go a little faster? Well, there actually is a method to my madness there, which I will demonstrate if I can actually get him to the halfway point. Naturally, this can all be negated with sufficient expertise, but if you aren't a pixel-perfect jumping god, I consider the necklace to be an absolute requirement here. Coming in here with just a harb is tempting fate. Now then, on the subject of rings, wearing the power ring for this fight is perfectly legit and will help, somewhat. However, it still takes quite a while to cut down all that HP, and it's amazing how fast the wheels can come off this fight with just a few bad jumps. So, my preferred strategy is to go ringless until Gabalan reaches about half health. Now we go to school. Time to put on the protection ring and just go completely ham on him. Depending on how much he slides around, full ring power plus Brosha Serum should be just about enough to take down that second half. Okay, Brosha Serum. Well, shit. Didn't quite make it. Carving off that little remaining HP is kind of tense after all the ring power and restoratives are gone, just because this fight can go to shit in the blink of an eye, but wait for it. Ha! Eat my fuck, Genesis Galbalan! The rest is pretty much as you remember it from the Turbo, minus the voice acting. All in all, I find the Turbo version slightly more palatable thanks to the outstanding soundtrack, slightly better level balance, and not having this dumbass end boss. On the other hand, the Genesis version does control, scroll, and animate quite a bit more fluidly, so I suppose it's all swings and roundabouts in the end. Well, that's about it for our port comparison, and I hope you found it a little bit interesting. I have one more Omake in mind, and if all goes well, I'll have that up very soon. See you then!